Back in March, detectives with the Elgin Police Department solved a missing persons cold case. They credit the podcast Somebody Knows Something that the department itself launched last year. In season 1, called Where is Karen? Detectives investigated the disappearance of 23-year-old Karen Sheepers in 1983. That led to the discovery of her remains found inside her car, submerged in the Fox River 5 months ago. Ultimately, this discovery gave her family closure that they've been waiting for more than 40 years. Now, Elgin detectives are back with a new season of the podcast and more cold cases to solve. Joining me now, detectives Andrew Houghton and Chris Hall behind this podcast. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
True crime podcasts are so popular, but it is very rare that they come out of a police department and that you started your own. So I'm curious how this came about, and was the idea seen as something to be hesitant about when you first pitched it?
Yeah, so our chief was the person that came up with this idea. So we were hesitant, myself and my partner for the first season, Matt Vartanian. We were very hesitant to do it, but it was kind of her idea. She pitched it to us and said she thought it would be a great way for us to kind of be transparent, reach out to the community, and also get some tips and information out there. So once we started doing it, we kind of realized it was something that was going to be really positive for us to do.
Great. On that note, what is law enforcement's perspective on these civilian podcasts when people sort of make themselves the detective in a way? I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
What I would say is we can't do this alone. We want the answers just like the rest of the public does, and especially the family. And we like to bridge the gap by doing this podcast and saying, hey, we don't have all the answers. And that's why we're relying upon tips and people to come forth with memories and just, some participation in something that they didn't feel the courage to do years ago. And that's kind of essentially what the podcast is. Sure,
creating that crime-solving community. I think that's great. In season 1, on the Sheepers story, did you have any idea that you would receive the results and make the discovery that you ultimately did?
No, I think you go into it being cautiously optimistic. We met with the family. They said they felt like there was maybe a 1% chance that something would change because they'd gone through this in the early 80s, the late 80s, the early 2000s, and then again with us in 2024, 2025. So there was always hope that we would find something. I think that that's the plan with any of these cases, is taking a fresh look, being open to the fact that we could fail. We could look at this and not find anything, but the family owes us that attempt to try to do that or to try to get them answers. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, no hurt in trying, and in this case it was so successful. Now to season 2, which I understand focuses on a selection of cases. Walk us through that.
So right now we have 6 cases that we're looking into in the 1970s, beginning in 1971, going all the way up to 1979. 5 of those are homicides, and 1 of those is a missing persons case. So far we have 2 episodes so far into the season. Episode 2 will be released this following Monday. And every 2 weeks on Monday, we'll be releasing each episode, which will probably take us through the end of September, I would say.
Into October. Yeah.
Great. And where can people find the podcast? Anywhere where they can listen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much anywhere. Your Spotify, Apple, whatever. Just Somebody Knows Something, you can find it. It's the Somebody Knows Something, the Elgin Police Department Cold Case Podcast.
Great. Give us a sampling of the first case that you tackle in season 2.
So the first case that we talked about is a murder from 1971. It was a gentleman named Guadalupe Alanis. He was 35 years old. He was working at a place called the Woodruff and Edwards Foundry. It was a large ironworks factory that no longer exists. It's now a park. So we talked about the difficulty of not being able to actually even go back to the scene where it even happened. But he was murdered there in 1971. There was also a murder at the same property in 1969, and then the eyewitness to his murder in 1971 was also murdered. So there were 3 different murders that all revolved around this same factory and some of these different workers that worked there. So we kind of walked through those cases, asking people that worked there, people that have information about these different family members, to reach out to us, because as you can imagine, tracking down family members for a victim in this case that's over 50 years old is rather difficult. So we're trying to use the podcast to reach out to people in the community to give us information about the victim or witnesses, or if they worked there, to give us information.
Detectives, thank you so much for joining us. Again, the podcast is Somebody Knows Something. We're looking forward to season 2 and hoping that somebody listening can help. Thank you so much for your time. Great to talk to you.